Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next episode. We have already discussed most of the relevant topics about the general anatomy of bones, including ossification. In this episode, we are going to deal with some of the applied aspects of the same topic, fracture and fracture healing. The individual bones will be dealt with in their respective classes, and those applied aspects will be discussed in those classes. So let's begin our today's episode.
Fracture is the commonest injury which we often hear about and we deal often with it. Now, it heals without a scar, and the fracture healing can be of two types. It can be direct or primary, or it can be indirect or secondary. Now, in case of direct healing, it happens when the bony fragments are stabilized, compressed, and fixed together, and there is no bony callus formed, and the healing happens by osteoblasts and osteoclasts. Now, this happens when we have some operative procedures and there is some sort of intervention with any fracture. In case of indirect healing, this is a natural process through which a fracture heals. Now here, it is a common where reduction in stable conditions are not required. That is, it's a natural process, as I have already said, and it is seen that there is some kind of movements, and thus there is formation of a callus, thus leading to a indirect fracture healing.
Before going into the details of fracture healing, let us go into the classification of different types of fractures. The first classification is based on etiology. The fracture can be traumatic or it can be pathological. A traumatic fracture, from the name itself, it occurs due to trauma. A pathological fracture is seen with conditions like osteoporosis, where the bone becomes brittle. The second type of classification is based on displacement. If the two fracture fragments are not displaced from their original position, then we call them undisplaced fracture. And the two fragments, if they move away from each other, then we call them a displaced fracture. The third type of classification is based on the pattern of fracture. So from the diagram itself, you can understand that the fracture can be classified into different types based on the pattern of the fracture line. So here, the 5 types of fracture that are seen are transverse, oblique, spiral, comminuted, and segmental. The last type of classification of fractures is based on exposure to the external environment. So if a fracture has not been exposed to the external environment, that means the overlying skin is still intact, then we call it a simple fracture or a closed fracture. And if the overlying skin is breached by the fragmented bone and it's exposed to the external environment, we call it a compound fracture or an open fracture.
Now in today's session, we will be giving you a very basic idea on how a simple bone fracture heals. That is, we will be discussing the indirect healing. Now the fracture healing is a very similar to a soft tissue healing in every ways, except that in fracture healing, the mesenchymal framework goes under a process of mineralization. The healing process of a fracture begins to happen as soon as the injury occurs. Now, as the fracture bone heals, it undergoes certain changes. Now, these changes can be described under, again, certain stages for a better understanding and clinical follow-up. Now, the stages of fracture healing, what we will describe over here, is as per classification of H.M. Frost. Now, let us see what are the stages. Now, the first one is the stage of hematoma formation. Second is the stage of granulation tissue. Third is the stage of callus. Fourth is the stage of remodeling. And fifth is the stage of modeling.
Let's begin with the first stage, which is the stage of hematoma. Let us look into a bone with its periosteum and the surrounding soft tissue. Now, whenever a fracture occurs, the periosteum and the surrounding soft tissue will get stripped off from the bone at the site of the fracture. Because of this, the blood will escape out from the injured blood vessel and it will collect in between the broken ends of the bone and the surrounding soft tissue area. This will lead to a collection or a pool of blood, giving rise to a hematoma. A traumatic fracture will always start with an acute inflammatory response, which will peak within 24 hours. Now, since the blood vessels are torn, the area of the bone that surrounding the fracture site or the fracture ends will lose the blood supply. Because of lack of blood supply, these fractured ends will undergo ischemic necrosis. During this process, the osteocytes, which will lose their blood supply, they undergo a natural process of cell death. But some of them will get sensitized and they will differentiate into what is known as the daughter cells or sensitized precursor cells. In all probability, these daughter cells may be mesenchymal cells with an ability to transform into different types of cells like osteoblasts, chondroblasts, or angiogenic cells, which are the cells that form the blood vessels. This stage of hematoma or the stage of hematoma formation lasts for about 7 days.
Now let us talk about the stage of granulation tissue, that is the second stage. Now the sensitized precursor cells or the daughter cells which we earlier talked about, these cells have an ability to differentiate into the mesenchymal cell lineages, or in simple words, the fibroblasts, the osteoblasts, the chondroblasts and the blood vessels. After differentiating into osteoblasts, chondroblasts, fibroblasts and the blood vessels, together all these cells form a soft tissue in between the fracture ends. The tissue which they form appears pink and granular, and thus this tissue is known as the granulation tissue. Remember, a pink color is an indication of a healthy granulation tissue and of a good healing process. As said earlier, this stage is thus called the stage of granulation tissue. While this process of laying down the granulation tissue continues, there are some dead cells and some blood clots. Now these are being phagocytosed by the macrophages, and along with it there are some bony debris which are being eaten up by the osteoclasts present over here. At the very same time, when this granulation tissue is being formed, there are new capillaries which emerge from within this tissue, and they are channelized with the previously existing blood vessels. This granulation tissue is also called as a soft callus, and it forms a fibrocartilaginous framework which provides the fracture site with a soft tissue anchorage, but this soft tissue is not having any structural integrity of its own. This stage lasts for 2 to 3 weeks.
Let's discuss the next stage, which is called the stage of callus. This stage is important during fracture healing because this is the stage from which the bone healing differs from soft tissue healing. Until this point, the process of bone healing was something which is very similar to healing of soft tissues. Now, with the granulation tissue that was formed during the healing of fracture was very similar to the granulation tissue which will be formed if there is any injury to soft tissue. But from now on, the things will differ. In bones, the granulation tissue will subsequently get mineralized. Let's see how this happens. The cells in the granulation tissue will differentiate into osteoblasts. The osteoblast will lay down the intercellular matrix, which in turn will get impregnated by calcium salts, and this is how the process of mineralization will begin, and it will spread throughout the area occupied by the granulation tissue, which was also called the soft callus. This newly laid down bone is now called the hard callus, or simply we can call it the callus. This process happens through membranous ossification, and here the granulation tissue can be compared to a mesenchymal framework. If you have any confusion about this, you can go back and watch our previous episodes on ossification, where you will understand how the mesenchymal framework is mineralized during the process of bone formation. This is something exactly similar to laying down a woven bone. So the callus is in fact a newly laid down woven bone. The bridging of this central hard callus provides the fracture with a semi-rigid structure, and it enables a little bit of weight bearing. The bony callus forms within the boundary of the fractured bone as well as outside, which means that it is not limited to the area which was previously occupied by the periosteum. If you recall, when the fracture had occurred, the periosteum had stripped away from the bone. So, the callus occupies the area of the bone and some areas of the soft tissue surrounding it. Now, the part of the callus which is within the original boundary of the bone is called the internal callus, and the part of the callus which occupies the area of the surrounding soft tissue is called the external callus. Once the callus is formed, the first sign of union of a fractured bone can be visible on an X-ray. This happens about 3 weeks after the fracture, and the whole stage of callus formation lasts for about 4 to 12 weeks.
Now let's see the fourth stage, that is the stage of remodeling. Now while the hard callus is rigid and it provides some stability, it does not mean that the fracture site has all the properties of a normal bone. A second stage of restoration becomes necessary now. Now this stage results in the remodeling of a hard callus into a lamellar bone with a central medullary cavity. Now the remodeling occurs when the hard callus is reabsorbed by osteoclasts and the lamellar bone is deposited by the osteoblast. Now this is something which we have seen earlier in our previous episodes during a natural bone formation where a woven bone is replaced by a lamellar architecture. So something similar happens over here, that is in case of bone remodeling, where small areas of callus are being replaced by patches of lamellar bone. Now this starts at around 3 to 4 weeks, but it continues as a very slow process and it may take about 1 to 4 years for it to complete. Now remodeling may be faster in younger patients as compared to the old ones.
The last stage of bone healing is the stage of modeling. Once the bone has remodeled, it is now time to get back to its full strength. Remember, the bone is yet not fully strengthened until now. The strengthening of the bone will happen in the stage of modeling. There is sharpening of the cortex of the bone at both the endosteal surface as well as on the periosteal surface. This happens with weight bearing and muscle pull once the patient resumes his or her normal activities. In children, this stage is very evident, while in adults, its extent is a bit limited. To end this video, let us look at the factors that affect bone healing. Number 1, age. It takes about half the time in young age for fracture healing as compared to adults. Number 2 is the type of bone. It is seen that flat bones and cancellous bones unite faster. Number 3 is the pattern. The speed of healing in spiral pattern is faster than in an oblique pattern, which is itself faster than the transverse pattern of fracture. Number 4, the disturbed pathoanatomy of the fracture site. It means that interposition of soft tissue and ischemic fracture fragments between the fracture ends delay fracture healing. Number 5 is the type of reduction. At least half of the surface of the fracture ends should be in contact with each other to promote efficient fracture healing. Number 6, immobilization. In some fractures, strict immobilization is required, for example, in fracture neck of femur. Number 7, exposure to external environment. Compound fractures or open fractures takes longer time to heal. This means that delayed union or non-union is more common in compound fractures. Number 8, compression. It is seen that compression enhances the rate of fracture union. So with this, we are ending our series of videos on the topic of bones. We have started with the general anatomy of bones. We have discussed the ossification and histology of bones. We have described how the bone grows in both length and width. And in this episode, we have discussed about fracture and fracture healing. In our next class, we'll take up the topic of connective tissue. Keep watching and keep supporting. Thank you.